Hello, and thank you for joining me on the show today. This is the Now Talks, a collection of inspiring personal stories and leadership lessons from some of the world's most iconic leaders. It is the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. My name is Dr. Tina Alton, and I'm your host for today and the coming weeks. Welcome again to the Nations of Women podcast. If you've ever found yourself saying, I'm working hard, I'm doing all the right things, but I'm not seeing the results I expect, well, today's episode is for you. You might not need to necessarily work harder, you might just need to steward your time better. Time is just one of those most important sacred things that God has placed in our hands or your hands, our hands. It's not just about what you fill your schedule with. It's more about whether you're sowing it in the right places. Why? Because poor time stewardship always leads to poor habits. And if we're really serious about building momentum, especially if you're thinking of coming to the Now Summit this September, then you have to start right now, right here. How you manage your time from this day forward and every other day that you're gifted with matters and will impact, what you do. It would impact um, how effective you're going to be. It would impact how you serve other people, and it would actually impact what you harvest in your own life and every other area. So time is not just a resource, it is actually a trust. Like you'd say trust funds, or you set things in trust, right? What does that mean? We want to protect it, something that is protected. So time is a trust, and we've been giving that, to be stewarded, not just to survive, but to multiply it. The time we have is meant to be multiplied. And really, how you handle your time is either bringing you closer to your purpose or really, truly keeping you stuck in patterns that leave you completely empty. So, with that in mind, I want to share a few thoughts. Um, with you, and I'd love to hear your own thoughts around that as well, or maybe your own experiences around that, because by sharing it we're able to you know um, give each other, I would say, um, a new perspective, but it would also help the other people who will listen to this podcast and see your comment here, as in, hey, this is my experience, this is what happened, and by doing that it gives hope. So it's not really rocket science for any of us to know in the times in which we're in. The time is sacred, it's not ours to waste. We live in a world that normalizes distraction. Whoa. Your mobile phone alone, like, you've got the world at your fingertips. How much distraction is that, right? And yet the world normalizes distraction, notifications, pings going off, requests coming in. There's constant movement. But the truth is this: time isn't something that you own. I don't own it. You don't own it. Neither of us do. It's something that we steward. I think of it like time is like a loan we have from God, right? And if we're not just spending it, then we're sowing it, right? Because it's either you're spending something or sowing something. Every hour is going somewhere. The question though is where? Where is your time going? So I wanna, as we always do on the Nations of Women podcast, is always provoking some of your thoughts or my own thoughts as well, some of the perspective that we hold, and then bringing some, practical action steps that we can take, as well as some tips that would help us to actually create a new pattern or a new perspective from that. So, time is something that we have to steward. It's a trust. Every hour is going somewhere. And I said earlier on, the question though is, where is it going? So some action step here is start by recognizing that time is not just some random thing, right? Time is something that requires intentionality. We have to be intentional. with it. Otherwise, you will be left behind. You will be stuck. You will not be productive. You'll not be moving forward towards your purpose and what you're called to do. Tips here is track your time, maybe the next 3 days, next 1 week, but just start with something. Even, the next 24 or 48 or 72 hours max, if you want to stretch that. Write down how are you spending your time every single hour. Next one is identify your top three distractions. What are the key three things on your plate that is really distracting you? And then you got to set a limit because you've got to start somewhere. You got to create a new pattern, new thought ways, right? And you got to protect your mornings. How do you start with your day in the morning? Um, do you just start your day going through emails, WhatsApp? I don't know, but I know it does me a world of difference when I start my day, just having a quiet time, praying together, planning, and then just pausing and listening. What is God saying to me, today? How is He wanting me to show up, right? To the people I'm serving, to my family, everywhere I go. And the final tip is set your priorities for the day. What are the priorities that needs to be your focus point for the day? All that before you check your emails and messages and all of those things, right? Point number two, poor stewardship of time will be equal to poor harvest. You can be extremely talented, anointed even, and hardworking, and still see very little fruit if you're not managing your time well. If you don't plant seeds, um, or you don't plant seeds once and expect to harvest. You have to sow consistently and wisely. Even when you take, plants, we have a wonderful garden that my husband does a fantastic job of keeping it. Until I met him, I didn't even know that my wonderful fingers were made for gardening, but here we are. But he loves to garden. And yet, there's times and seasons and there's specific time of the year that you can't plant certain things because they just won't make it. So again, it's like, our time, we have to sow our time in the right season. We have to put the seed of time into the right soil, the right time, so that it actually will yield and bear fruit, or you get the flowers you're wanting, or whatever it is the outcome you're looking for. You have to sow consistently and wisely. So, for example, you have to examine where your time is going, wherever it's going. Does it match what you say you want to build? Right? We know in Proverbs talks about wise people are builders. They build businesses, they build communities, they build their homes. So, where is your time going? Does it match what you're called to build? Tip, do a weekly calendar review. Highlight what helped you to grow and what didn't help you to grow. And often, I mean, since all through my adult life, we've been told have a to do list, have a to do list. But I learned from one of my mentors, I must have a no list. Right, write down what requests you're getting, what opportunities you get, and what routines are actually draining you. I can't remember how many years ago I was sitting down with one of my mentors, Dr. Arlene Westerhoff, in the Netherlands, and we're having a conversations like, Tina, you really need to know how to say no. Like there's some things that's an absolute no, and you need to know. Like there's some things that would come that would look like these are great opportunities, but they're actually going to just take you completely off track, and you have to say no to those things. So create a no list. Schedule your real work. Block time each week for, building your vision, being creative, for strategic planning, and also for taking rest. You have to take a pause as a leader. You have to schedule those in to review, yourself, reflect on your own self, your leadership, who you call to serve. Reflect on the week. What went well, what didn't go well? How can you grow from all of those? And ask yourself this question: is this sowing into the harvest that I'm expecting? Um, or yes or no, right? And if you're coming to the summit in September, come and find me and tell me. Come and tell me how you have stewarded your time from now until then. Point number three, urgency is not always the route to go, right? So not every urgent request actually is yours to answer. That's what I mean. And not every loud voice deserves your yes. There's some things you've got to say no to. Some interruptions are just mismanaged boundaries. Setting boundaries is very, very important. And boundaries are healthy. Boundaries are meant to, keep you safe, the other person safe. Boundaries are needed for our lives. They're very, very important. It helps you to stay focused. It helps you to maintain and protect, relationships even. So some interruptions just need, boundaries around them. Um, Learn to pause. Every yes that you're tempted to give has to be weighed. And you have to weigh it as in consider it, really take time to ponder it. Is this really requiring a yes? How do you do that? Weigh it not out of fear, but out of the fact that I have to be a good steward of my time, right? Fear of missing out, fear of, oh, what if, what if they think XYZ of me? Well, what people think of you is none of your business, right? You have to manage your time. You have to be a good steward of your time. Some tips here: use a 5-minute pause rule before saying yes to new commitments. Ask, is this mine to take? Is this mine to carry? Is this urgent to God? Or is it just urgent to that person? Right. Build 15-minute margins between meetings or major activities. Have a 15-minute timeout so you can think, refresh, be prepared for the next meeting. And start saying not now. Not now is really, really good. And you can say not now without guilt, because when you say something is not now, you're not entirely closing the door. You're just saying not now. And that I find, provides clarity, and it creates space for you to actually focus on what matters most. Right. So, point number 4, your rhythm determines your reach. God works through rhythm. There is day, there's night, there's sowing, there's reaping, there's work, there's rest. So your success doesn't come from doing more. It actually comes from moving in rhythm with your season. You've got to know what season you're in, and therefore what you've got to do. So some action steps here is find your flow, build a rhythm that really aligns with your natural energy and what you're called to do. What's your purpose? What's your vision? Design your weekly rhythm, or, what's your weekly patterns. Assign maybe focus days, Mondays, maybe your planning days, Wednesdays could be your content, Fridays could be rest. Wednesdays is our teams call. We get together as a team, checking one another, we plan, we strategize, and we all go forth, right? Protect your peak hours. These are your most, the times where you're at your most energetic, right? So use your most energetic time for your highest impact work. Um, at night time when my family are asleep, oh gosh, I'm at my finest. So, if I have really, really important strategic things to think through or to plan or to prepare, I just take time out when everything is quiet around me, and I can think clearly, hear clearly, and be able to make, big strides. Automate or delegate all the low level tasks wherever possible. And don't feel guilty, right? There is always somebody out there who can do better than you. And if they know how to do things better than you, hey, just delegate it. Schedule a weekly vision hour. That's just your hour for working on your vision. It could be a weekly just prayer hour, weekly just strategy hour, weekly future planning hour. Whatever it is, just schedule a weekly vision hour, and that hour could be focused on one thing and one thing only, right? So in summary, the key takeouts I want to leave with you is time is a trust, time is sacred, time is strategic. You're either using it to build, right, what you're called to do, or you're giving it away to things that won't produce any fruit whatsoever. So here's what I really want you to remember is you can't expect a harvest where you haven't consistently sown, and poor time management will delay your vision. You know, Doing things in urgency is not necessarily being obedient. It's not necessarily what is required all the time. And your rhythms or your patterns will create results. And momentum always comes from being aligned correctly, not from overactivity. So some food for thought. If someone followed you around for a week and watched how you used your time, will they see a woman who's working with purpose? Will they see a life that's moving forward towards harvest? Will they see a steward or just a survivor, right? And a challenge, choose one area of poor time stewardship. It might be your mornings, it might be your screen time, it might be those yeses that you regret as soon as you give them. And we all know which ones they are. You say yes to something, and the moment you come off the phone or you close, you like the moment you say your yes afterwards, you regret, you become resentful, you become frustrated. Why did I say yes? So maybe those are all areas of poor time stewardship, right? And change one thing this week. Don't wait until September when you're coming to the summit to show up ready. It starts now. It starts today. The only time you have is now, and the future is now. The future starts right here, right now. So start stewarding your time today like the woman you're becoming. Share this episode with another woman who's been feeling stuck or perhaps overstretched. Tag us, Nations of Women. Let us know what shift you're making in your time this week. And if you haven't registered yet for the Now Summit in September, go, 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 go now. Go to the website, nationsofwomen.com, and fill in your application. And a member of team will come to you. We're building momentum together, but this momentum is not accidental. It is intentional. So this is, my friends, ladies, leaders, this is your season to steward well. This is your season to grow boldly. And this is your season to prepare for harvest. It starts with your time. So I want to leave you with a question. What kind of harvest are you expecting? Are your current habits preparing you for the harvest that you're expecting? That's a question and food for thought. Until I come your way next time, remember, the momentum starts now. The future starts now. The only time you have is now, and it starts with your time. If you're expecting great harvest, steward your time well. God bless, and see you again soon. And that's all for this week. You've been listening to Dr. Tina Alton with the Now Talks, the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. All that remains is for me to say have a fantastic week, stay safe, and reach out if you need any help now at nationsofwomen.com. Until next time, enjoy the pursuit of your potential, and remember, now is your time.